This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
This is what you can look forward to on our anniversary episode 138 of Skywalking Through Neverland.
That wasn't Thrawn's arrival. That was Dracula's arrival.
Right? 969 days. Although I think the last time we did this, there was over 1,000 days.
Good luck with Jurassic Disney World. And, no hard feelings.
There was plenty of episode 1 merchandise to go around.
This is very, very bad.
That's right. As of September 26th of this year,
Wow.
we celebrated our 3rd year of podcasting.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Hello, Skywalkers.
Listen. Up to Neverland.
I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse.
Wow. Oh, what?
You are skywalking through Neverland.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Skywalking Through Neverland, a podcast for active Disney and Star Wars fans. This is Richard.
And this is Sarah. Skywalking Through Neverland celebrates Star Wars and Disney fandom. And from time to time, we'll also be talking about excitement surrounding superheroes, Harry Potter, and other franchises with exciting things going on.
And that's how our first episode started out. That was 3 years ago.
Wow. Our first episode. Wow, we sounded so funny.
We sounded like we were doing our first episode.
Yeah, and that was like our second recording, too.
Yeah, we needed someone in the room to go, energy, everyone, energy, faster, more intense.
Seriously.
However, that was not the case, so I think we've gotten just a little bit better since then. And now it sounds like this. Hey, Skywalkers, welcome to Skywalking Through Neverland. We are the family-friendly Star Wars and Disney podcast that bring you fun-filled stories from the creators and fans. And a big thanks to our family of Skywalkers who listen to the show every week, watch us on Periscope like right now, post in our Facebook group, or just spread and share the positivity about our adventure through fandom. I am Richard, and now everyone, please say hello to my sweetie wife, Sarah.
Hey, Skywalkers! I'm so excited to join you this week. We have so much going on this week in this episode, and I want to say thank you once again to our Star Wars and Disney family. Thanks for supporting the show throughout all of social media. We love it when you tweet at us at SkywalkingPod. You become a tweetwalker. We had several new tweetwalkers this week, enjoying our last episode all about film music, which is something I love. So love that, and love that you guys share every week.
All right, now, talking about sharing every week, we better continue because we have such a huge show today.
That's right.
So, we are recording this from Long Beach, California on September the 27th, 2016. Now, coming up on this jam-packed episode, we talk with Star Wars collectible author Duncan Jenkins about the big holiday coming up known as Rogue Friday.
Oh, that's this Friday, September 30th.
You know what's so rogue about it?
It's
the fact that it's not really the release day anymore, since most of the Rogue One toys have already been released.
Oh, yeah, people are finding them everywhere, aren't they?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if the Rogue factor is working forward or backwards.
Well, that's okay. It's also International Podcast Day, which is exciting in itself, since this is our anniversary podcast episode.
Woohoo! Going into our 4th year.
Yes. Oh, look at all those hearts.
Oh.
Thanks, guys. Aww.
All of our tweetwalkers are sending many hearts right now.
Yes.
Thanks, everyone. But we'll go into our 3rd year anniversary in just a few minutes.
Okay.
But let's also tell them about who else is going to be joining us.
Margaret Kerry, our fairy pod mother, she is back to ease you all through your problems and concerns as she gives advice through her segment, Ask Tink.
And Jocasta Drew is here to tell us about the new Star Wars Complete Locations and Star Wars Year by Year, both published by DK Publishing.
And are they both out this week?
Well, Star Wars Year by Year came out September the 6th.
Okay.
But Locations, that came out today.
Oh, nice.
September the 27th.
Awesome. And now the first episode of Star Wars Rebels Season 3 premiered on September 24th. So we're bringing back our segment, Inspirations, the Music of Star Wars Rebels, and we're going to talk our initial thoughts on the episode and, of course, go into the music of the episode, Steps into Shadow.
Wow, so much to talk about with that amazing, amazing episode.
Yeah.
But can't talk about it now because we also want to tell you that we have Shout Out, a Skywalker of the Week, and things we want to share. But first, let's do another foreign dub contest. All right, now here is where we play a clip of a Disney or Star Wars film, and it's going to be dubbed in a foreign language, and you Skywalkers have to guess what movie it is, what scene it is, and if you can, the language.
馬鹿げた魔法で我々を脅そうというのがベータ教。お尋ねしたいが、君のご自慢のフォースとやらで盗まれた設計図を取り戻すことができたのかね。同盟軍の秘密基地がどこにあるかぐらい探り当てられたのか。フォースを侮辱する者は許せん。もう十分だ。ベータ、許してやれ。お望みとあらば。
Now, did we make that one way too easy? I think we may have.
Okay.
But you know what? We don't want to make this hard. We want to make it fun.
All right, so the first one to tweet at us and tell us the film, the scene, and the language, well, they win the coveted rights to brag about it to friends.
And if they want, they can even put it on a resume.
Or you can use it as a conversation starter at parties.
If you want to put it on a college application, you can do that too. You know,
Yeah.
we'll back you up there.
Yeah, sure.
All right, now I want to get into this. We haven't done this for a while.
Okay.
This is our Cliff's Notes countdown.
Cliff's Notes.
Cliff Note Countdown.
Cliff's Notes. Cliff's Notes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Cliff's Notes.
All right, we have many new additions this time around since Richard posted in our Facebook group and asked what you Skywalkers wanted us to add. So you had a ton of ideas.
So this is all as of today, September the 27th. First thing up, Rogue Friday.
Oh.
Now, how many more days until Rogue Friday?
And International Podcast Day. 3 days.
3 days. Also, James Floyd wanted us to let everyone know that this Friday, September 30th, is also Where Star Wars Everyday Listener Challenge.
Yeah, awesome.
Only 3 more days until that.
Head to @JamesJawa on Twitter and you can find links to where that is.
All right, now let's really do the Cliff's Notes countdown and Cliff Note this.
Okay.
From here on in. All right, Halloween.
34 days.
Doctor Strange.
38 days.
And that comes out what day?
That comes out on November the 4th.
Now, Donald Wicks wanted us to mention the Rancho Obi-Wan Gala.
Of course. And that is 39 days until that day.
Which is November the 5th. Next up, well, the next day, really, MouseCon on November the 6th.
All right, that was contributed by Joey Pittman, and there are 40 days until that date.
Then we have Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. This was requested by our Hunt family friends.
That's right. And that comes out November 18th, which is in 52 days.
Then Rogue One, a Star Wars story on December the 16th, 2016.
80 days. Around the world in 80 days? Hey, you guys, we can go around the world before we see that movie.
Then Star Wars Half Marathon.
Woohoo! That whole weekend begins January 13th, so there's 108 days until that date.
And then coming up in March, Beauty and the Beast.
Woohoo! March 17th. So 171 days.
And then we have WonderCon.
All right, that is March 31st, 2017. Kai Charles mentioned that, and there's 185 days until that day.
And then comes the big one, Celebration Orlando.
Oh, so exciting. April 13th through the 16th, 198 days until that day.
Nice. And then coming up, it is Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Okay, so that's May 17th. and 232 days until that day.
And then we have an anniversary. Star Wars turns 40.
Oh, who requested that one?
That is by Kevin Raider Nerd Reitzel.
Oh, perfect. And that's, of course, May 25th, 2017. So 240 days.
Now, Kevin Raider Nerd Reitzel for the 40th anniversary, he had a few ideas about the Skywalker family coming together and other Star Wars podcasts and geeky podcasts and do a week-long event celebrating with personal stories and charity events and lots of fun stuff.
Wow, did he even suggest a hashtag here?
He did. Hashtag Star Wars 40.
And that's not number Star Wars 40, Trisha.
So that'll be a fun thing to put together.
Yes, it will. Okay.
All right.
Like it.
Now, someone on Periscope.
Geek Tati says, hey, did we forget the Star Wars Dark Side?
You know what? I think we did.
Yeah, that's actually a week after Celebration Orlando. We won't be going there this year, unfortunately, but...
All right, I'm going to add that in for next time.
Dark Side, okay.
Dark Side.
All right.
So then, you know what? That would be 205 more days.
Right. Oh, very good math.
There
Look
you
at that.
go. There
I
you
know,
are.
everyone's booing. We're sorry, guys, but we're going to be there a week before so you can see us then. At Star Wars Celebration.
We can always take a day and wake up at 4 a.m. and run around Orlando.
Yeah.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Run up and down International Drive.
All right, then we have the Disney D23 Expo.
Ah, yes. July 14th through 16th, 2017. So 290 days.
Star Wars Episode 8.
Wow. December 15th, 2017, if it stays there. You never know. Oh, and this is fun. There are 444 days until that date.
Okay, and then we have Wreck-It Ralph 2.
March 9th, 2018. So 528 days.
How about the Young Han Solo movie?
That's May 25th, 2018, right now, and 605 days.
And then finally, we have Star Wars Episode 9.
May 24th, 2019. So 969 days. Although I think the last time we did this, there was over 1,000 days.
Yeah.
So
easily,
I feel better.
Easily down to 3 digits. Now, of course, all of these dates are subject to change, so don't hold us to it.
That's true.
And then Star Wars Land, where's that going to fit in somewhere here?
I don't know. I'm so excited, but probably 2018, 2019.
Yeah, I'm going to guess right after the Young Han Solo movie and right before Episode 9.
Yeah, probably.
All right, so that concludes the Cliff's Notes Countdown.
Cliff Note Countdown.
Cliff Notes. Cliff Notes.
And now here are things we want to share.
Things we want to share. Things we want to share. Things we want to share. Things we want to share. Things we want to share.
Happy 3rd anniversary, Skywalking through Neverland! That's right, as of September 26th of this year, which was only a couple of days ago, yesterday,
Wow.
we celebrated our 3rd year of podcasting.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. So we're heading into our 4th
year. But it was September the 26th, 2013, that we released our first episode.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
So I went into our files and found some original notes.
Wow. Okay.
So these are some of the titles that we came up with.
Okay, for the show, for
the show,
Skywalking
yes.
Through Neverland.
We thought, what are we going to name this show? I don't know. And what is it going to be?
Yeah. So we had like this huge list that we had come up, you know how you brainstorm and you write out ideas and stuff? Well, we come up with Mouse Droid Mixer.
Which is now a segment name.
Right.
We thought, who's going to know what a mouse droid is?
Yeah, we
Not
didn't
too
like
many
that.
people.
For the whole show, it just didn't work.
No. Then we had Tiki Cantina.
Yep.
That was, I
Which
think
we
that
thought
was a
was
forerunner.
fun.
That was a forerunner.
That was, because it sounds fun, sounds like a party, you know.
And it does sound like Disney and Star Wars.
Or a drink.
Joey Pittman, is it really a drink?
Oh, well.
It sounds like a drink.
Yeah, it sounds like a drink. Yes. And then we had...
for our next meetup, we're gonna invent a drink called the Tiki Cantina.
Okay.
Just like at our wedding, we had a drink called The
supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Yeah, that one.
And you could only get it for free if you could say it.
All right. Then we also had this one, Lightspeed to Main Street.
Which we liked that too.
Yeah. Now, like George Lucas, we never throw away any good ideas.
That's true.
So we just recycled them and used them for segment names.
Yes.
Now, one that I didn't post on here, and I'm just remembering this now, we were going to call the podcast Wookiees, Wands, Wings, and Capes.
Yeah, no, Wookiees, Wizards? There was
No,
like three,
it was going to be Wands.
Okay.
Because Wands said more Harry Potter than
right.
Really. It was up in the air, but we thought Wands go one step further. So Wookiees, Wands, Wings, and Capes.
Yeah.
And that became a segment title.
For like our 5th episode?
No, I think it was our 2nd episode.
Or 3rd? Okay.
We talked about superhero TV.
Yeah. That's it.
I think we just... It was too hard to say.
Okay. I know, right?
On a shirt, yeah.
It just wouldn't. It didn't work.
Yeah, it was too long.
Yeah.
And then I had a blog site called 0.5 Past Lightspeed.
Which we really liked that name.
Right. It was good branding, but I didn't have enough of a following as a blogger to really continue that. So we thought, yeah, it's good, but we can do better. And I've always loved the book Skywalking by Dale Pollock about the life and times of George Lucas. And I've always wanted to use that name. So we had Skywalking. That was going to be a must. I was really gunning and campaigning for the term Skywalking.
Right. And then how did we decide on this? I mean, honestly, I think I had an image of like a logo that I could do in my head when those words Skywalking Through Neverland came together. I was like, wait, I could use Jedi Tink as our
podcast mascot.
Yeah, and so it just kind of all came together when we found those words that came together.
Yeah, and we wanted a Disney word in there.
Definitely.
So Skywalking Through Disney World. No. Skywalking Through Disney. No.
Skywalking Through Main Street, I think we had.
Yeah, that's
we
true.
did have that.
And nothing was gelling.
Yeah.
And I think you came up with Neverland.
Right.
And
just because we were thinking of, Tinkerbell.
Right, yeah. And it just seemed to fit.
Yeah.
And I think we both said Skywalking Through Neverland.
Or two. Yeah. Like Skywalking to Neverland was in contention. But yes.
But I like Skywalking Through. It's like you're already there. You're already there with us.
Yes, exactly.
And so Skywalking Through Neverland was born.
Yay.
With the tagline, where the Force meets the mouse. Whatever happened to that?
I don't know. But you know what? We do have this tagline on our shirts. When you wish upon a podcast that we never really use either.
Yeah, that's
just
a
on
good
our
one.
Shirts.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Then we decided to do our own jingles.
Oh boy.
This is before we knew Rob Dellinger.
Yes.
The John Williams of podcasting, podcast jingles. And we thought we'll take a stab at this. So this is our original Tiki Cantina theme song.
Oh boy.
Rob, don't hate us.
Wow. Oh my God. I remember like doing that, like trying to sync up the music. Joey Pittman remembers that.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Wow. And I'm sure that was a placeholder because we were just trying to get the show out. Yeah.
Well, it was, and then I think we gave that to Rob Dellinger as inspiration.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That was our temp track that made it into the actual podcast.
Yeah, it was our temp track.
All right. Well, we put this out on Facebook that we were celebrating our 3rd year anniversary, and we got a lot of congratulations and you rocks.
Aw. Yeah, Patty Hammond, she says, congrats on 3 wonderful years. Hope for many, many more. Thanks for including me as a Skywalker and admin. Aw.
Well, you're a valuable part of the team.
Absolutely.
And then Kurt D. Emery, he says, congratulations. My first thought was how awesome this podcast is going to be, blending my favorite things. And it is.
Aw, yay.
Thanks, Kurt.
Now, Joey Pittman, he writes, "Congrats, you guys. It's been 3 great years. I'm honored and proud to be a part of the team and love the friends I've met through this podcast. I remember first hearing about this Disney and Star Wars podcast, thinking, cool, a show just for me. Here's to many more fun-filled years." Aw, that's so cool.
Yeah, and as a tangent, someone from Brazil just
said hello.
Said hello on one
Periscope.
of our scope walkers.
Thank you.
Hey from Brazil. Hey to Brazil.
Yeah.
And then Chris Shepard says, "Happy anniversary, you two rock."
Aw.
So thanks, everyone. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's been a fun-filled 3 years, and here's to 30 more.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. So many.
And if we can help it, 31.
All right, let's end this segment with a bang.
All right, so that will wrap up our anniversary fun. So now let's move on to our talk with Duncan Jenkins all about Rogue Friday.
Be our guest, be our guest, put our podcast to the test. Gather round the microphone and we will do the rest.
Star Wars fans now have another holiday to celebrate. A holiday with a name that changes pretty much every year. First it was called Midnight Madness, then Force Friday, but now it has been redubbed Rogue Friday.
This is the official merchandise launch for Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. And this year, the big day is Friday, September 30th.
One collector who is definitely looking forward to the new merchandise is Star Wars collector, co-author of many collectible guides. He's on the board of directors at Rancho Obi-Wan. He is Duncan Jenkins.
Hey, Duncan.
Hey guys, how you doing?
We are doing very, very well, thanks, and getting ready for Rogue Friday. Oh, by the way, happy Rogue Friday.
Oh, yes, and to you.
Yeah, we are celebrating over here and taking those odd jobs just to save up for all the new merchandise that's
Right.
about to come out. But you know what? I'm guessing you've already shattered my record, but what is the most you've ever spent at a Midnight Madness sale?
Oh, I don't even know. Last year we did a all-day marathon where we just traveled from store to store and hit several dozen stores and filled up a car load and an SUV load twice. So it was a lot. It was more than I want to think about, probably.
Wow. Well, that totally blows out of the water any record, I think. That.
Well, you know, for Attack of the Clones, that Midnight Madness sale, I spent $500.
Wow.
Yeah, but I think, Duncan, once again, I think you beat my record.
I don't know that that's a record that I really want.
All right, you know what? If you want to feel better, go and ask Steve Sansweet.
Right,
Yeah, right?
exactly.
Then you'll feel much better.
Well, how many of these Midnight Madness sales have you been to?
Well, I think I've done all of them except for the one for Phantom Menace. It was kind of funny. That one took place right after the first Celebration 1 in Denver. And Steve Sansweet and myself and a few other people had just finished closing up the convention. And so we all went out to Denny's for a very, very, very late dinner and talked about how we were missing out on the Midnight Madness and the fun that was going on there, but we knew that there would be plenty of merchandise available so that we could all pick it up the next day. And sure enough, true to the word, there was plenty of Episode 1 merchandise to go around.
Well, you picked a good night to go out to Denny's then.
Exactly.
After a celebration, Midnight Madness is kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah, it didn't have quite the same appeal as just in the middle of a normal, work week or a month or something like that when you really want to get together and do some Star Wars. We'd had a good fill of Star Wars that weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, I think the Phantom Menace was the only one that I'd missed because I'm thinking I'll just go to the store the next day and get everything. I don't need to get there at midnight.
Okay. Yeah, for me, I was just getting out of high school, so I didn't really have that much extra cash. I was saving enough for college.
Well, you know what? I had expendable cash at that point, but I thought, you know what? I'm going to go the next day and fill up on this new character called Jar Jar Binks.
Oh.
Him and his extending tongue. Now, for this time around, for Rogue Friday, what piece of merchandise are you super excited about getting?
Well, it's a continuation of a lot of the Hasbro lines. The Black series I really like, so I'm looking forward to the releases there. The Jakks Pacific 18-inch, I've actually found a couple of those in stores already, but I really like those, and so I'm looking forward to those as well.
Do the stores let you buy them at this point?
Yes, I didn't have any problems with that, and I also found some of the titanium die-cast, and I didn't have any problems with that. But I have heard some people talking about how they, have tried to purchase them and hadn't had any luck.
Right.
Last time, Force Awakens, that one, there was several things I found at a Walmart the week before that were already put on clearance. So I thought that was interesting.
Whoa!
And I tried to buy those, and it came up in the thing that there had been a recall on them, and so they couldn't sell them. And I'm like, well, it's not really a recall. It just hasn't hit the store date. But anyway, they didn't really know what was going on. They just wouldn't sell them to me.
Yeah, I found Disney Infinity figures that way.
Now, what is this about the pre-releasing all these toys? Because I'm getting ready for September 30th, but now everyone's already getting everything, so what's the big deal about Rogue Friday now?
Right, it's kind of like getting to open Christmas gifts a couple of days early.
Yeah, it's like getting your gifts in November. I want the build-up, I want the excitement, I want this to meet all the fans on that Midnight Madness sale like we did it for Force Friday. We met a lot of people that way standing in line. We hosted a panel for DK Publishing, and it was just so much fun. Now this year it seems like it's like when they put out all their Halloween and Christmas decorations in July at the Hallmark store and Target and Walmart.
Right.
By the time it gets to the point where it should be, it's already been there, done that.
Yeah, it takes it a little bit of the excitement away from it.
Yeah. Is there a list where collectors can go to see what's coming out, or that's already out for Rogue One?
Places like Force.net, Rebel Scum, they usually have pretty good lists of what to expect. They list a lot of the exclusives, and then the viewers will or listeners or whoever can write in and say some of the stuff that they've found. So it kind of keeps everybody up to date.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did find a really good one on yakface.com.
Yeah, that's another good one, yes.
Yeah, but I feel like there's still more stuff to go, that this isn't the completed list, and I'm sure they're updating the list as it goes.
It's going to be interesting because since this is not a part of the, 7, 8, 9, and this is the first anthology movie, I think... But it is Disney, so I've been kind of going back and forth on whether or not I think they're going to be a little bit more low-key this time around. And my guess is that they probably will be low-key for Disney, but that is still probably, much more than everybody else.
Well, I know one place that would be fun to walk into on Force Friday would be the Disney store, because I know we had a blast last year.
Yeah, they always have big events going on.
Or they put all their Star Wars merchandise right up front.
Right.
So that's always fun to see.
And they've got several of the new Diecast Elite series.
Yeah.
I really like that series a lot. And so I'm looking forward to getting those.
Now, are you just as excited about Rogue Friday as you were about Force Friday last year?
Yes, definitely. I did take off work last year to do all of the traveling around. I didn't decide to do that this year, but we will just be very, very tired at work.
What stores will you be hitting?
For the midnight, I'm going to do Toys R Us, Target, and Walmart. And then the next morning, I'll do the Disney store and some of the stores around the mall there.
Oh, nice.
Was there one item last year for Force Friday that you didn't know about but really excited you because it was such a surprise?
I think it was probably the Sphero BB-8. That was cool. And I was only peripherally aware of it, but actually having seen it on the little demo and things like that, it just blew me away, and that was one that I definitely had to have.
Now, is Sphero doing an update to that kind of toy? Not a BB-8 update, but another character?
There's an R2-D2 that's comparable to that, and I haven't seen who's doing that one yet.
Well, I know Sphero specifically is actually doing a battle-worn BB-8 droid with a Force Band, but you can also buy the Force Band separately for your existing BB-8.
Right, yeah, so there is the updated version for the BB-8.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
A battle-worn BB-8?
Yes.
Is that an Episode 8 spoiler?
Must be. You heard it here first, right?
No, I think that's just because in the movie, The Force Awakens, he's kind of dusty.
Well, with battle-worn, you think of like R2 at the end of Star Wars being hit by Darth Vader, and that's battle-worn.
Okay.
But in The Force Awakens, he got dirty.
Right, he got dirty. So that's what it really means. It's more dirty looking like on Jakku. You know, when you're rolling around in the dust, you just can't help it.
Yeah, but is that really battle-worn?
I guess not.
Is there a particular item that you collect or a character that you collect?
No, I'm one of the few remaining completists. I still want to get everything that has Star Wars on it. Now, obviously, I can't, but I give it a good try.
Wow. I know, like, and in this day and age, you really have to try hard to do that.
Oh, man, it's been, it's just, this last year has been just amazingly brutal trying to keep up with this much, just the space limitations.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, whenever we walk into our local grocery store, it's like, oh, there's another Star Wars character on another cereal box. Gotta get that. Now he's on potato chips. Gotta get that.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. At least with the food products, you get to enjoy some of the foods that way, too. It's kind of serves a dual purpose.
Yes.
Right, but Sarah is extremely scared to open up any kind of food product because she knows that I'll want to get a razor blade and carefully cut it open I can re-glue it back.
I won't open them.
Yeah, once when we started going out, she ripped open a package of something with R2-D2 on it. Oh, that almost ended things.
I learned my lesson.
Wow, yeah. Good thing you gave her a second chance.
Yeah.
Well, she's still on a 10-year trial basis.
Come on.
Well, you're almost at the in October. That'll be your 10th year, so you have another month to go.
What was my opening line to you?
Can I dance with a Jedi?
There you go.
All right,
wow,
there you
nice.
go. Now, I see on Star Wars Action News that you have a Star Wars room called the Sithsonian.
That is correct.
Yeah, Star Wars Action News is one of those podcasts that deal with collecting, and it's one of the first podcasts I ever listened to, and that's really how I found out about you, Duncan, and I looked you up there, and wow, you got some amazing items there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've been collecting since 77, and, along with everybody else, it just kind of runs out of room, but I decided that I wanted to build a separate building on my property that would house my collection, and so I call it the Sithsonian. And Arnie and Marjorie from Star Wars Action News, they came over to see it and did a little podcast rundown of things there. But yeah, it's been really fun to get to organize things and put things out in display and have people come over and share the excitement of the collection.
So after every Force Friday, wait, what?
Rogue Friday or Midnight Madness. It keeps on changing every year.
Yeah, I know, exactly. So after every one of those, do you kind of go in there and like rearrange things?
Yes, exactly. It's like, okay, time to squeeze more stuff in. Where are we going to find room to fit all of that?
Right.
So it just kind of have to be very, very creative with the use of space.
Yeah, I've got a Star Wars room myself, and when I bought the house that we live in right now, it had to have 3 bedrooms, a bedroom, an office, and a Star Wars room.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. You got to have the priorities, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
definitely. And on the door is the carbon-froze Han Solo.
Ah, good.
Yeah, a friend of mine had found the mold, I don't want to say how, and he said, Rich, I can make you the whole thing, but where am I going to put that? So just make me the face, and I'll put it onto my door, and there's the entrance to my Star Wars room.
Yay.
Perfect.
What is your holy grail in your Star Wars collection?
Oh, wow. There are so many. That's one of the nice things about being a completist is that there's always something out there that I don't have and that I'm always looking for. So as far as grails go, there's a lot of different areas. Some of the food packaging that we were talking about earlier, some of that can be very, very difficult to find from especially like the first films, because it was designed only to be holding the food and not saved. And so a lot of that got thrown away. So, finding some of those really rare cereal boxes, say from Canada or the United Kingdom, just almost impossible to find. There's licorice from Finland, packaging that I'm, trying to find, things like that. But then it goes all the way up to prototypes and unreleased items. There's many different pieces there. The Droids and Ewoks cartoon series, they had an unreleased second series of figures. They were going to do 14 more action figures. And I have 13 of the 14 in prototype form. So I'm just missing one figure there. So I'd really like to get him someday.
Wow.
What is that missing figure?
That's Admiral Screed.
Oh.
Yeah, pretty tough.
Does Steve Sansweet have one of those?
Yes.
Oh.
Exactly.
Oh, that must kill you every time you go to Rancho Obi-Wan.
Exactly. Well,
you'd be like, so Steve, look over there.
Yeah, exactly.
Grab it.
You know what? Ann Newman will be right on you.
She would.
She may be small, but she can tackle like any linebacker I've ever known.
That's right. They have the rare security system that knows when Star Wars items are leaving the building.
Yeah, that Dino will jump out of that trash barrel and suck you down.
That's awesome.
What would you consider to be your white whale then?
What
is that one item that keeps eluding your grasp?
Well, for the longest time, it was a bottle of Star Wars Pine Sol, the household cleaner Pine Sol.
Yeah.
There was a promotion in the late 70s for Frisbees, Star Wars Frisbees that you could get. And I had the set of the Frisbees, but I did not have the Pine Sol bottle. And it, had a Star Wars promotion on the label. And a couple of years ago, I managed to find one of those through a friend at an estate sale in Alaska. So just, you never know where any of this stuff's going to turn up, right?
Yeah. My goodness.
Yeah, case in point, the Death Star that wound up at a swap meet in Middle America.
Yeah, exactly. That was here in Missouri, too. So I'm from Missouri, and when Gus found that, he told me, he actually came out to pick it up and said, hey, I'm in town. And I was like, what are you here for? And he said, oh, I'm picking up the Death Star. Not exactly what you expect to hear when someone's in town here in Kansas City, but they're down in the middle of the Ozarks, down south of here. Somebody had ended up with the Death Star prop from the movies, and so yeah, you just don't ever know where something's going to show up.
Wow! I hope he's got that locked up somewhere where no one can easily take it home with him, like me, if I ever get there.
Right.
That'll be worth some jail time.
There's some things that are, right?
Yeah, that's one of them. Do you have any screen-used props or set dressing?
I do. I have some real interesting pieces, but one of my favorites is a gun tower from the original Death Star from A New Hope. So that's a really, really cool piece.
Wow, where'd you get that?
I did a trade from a guy who had ended up with a couple of them. From one of the guys that actually worked on the film, so that was pretty fun.
Nice.
But I have a couple other items that are pretty unique. One of the amphibians that Jar Jar is looking at there on Tatooine when he zaps the one and gets chided for stealing the food.
Hey, huh?
Right.
And Mos Espa, I have one of those that's hanging down on the cart there, and a few other little pieces of Captain Panaka blaster from Episode 1, and a few other little things. Crate Dragon Bone piece that's kind of fun.
Oh, did you go out to Tunisia to get that, or did someone bring it back?
No, I got that one from Gus when he went out to Tunisia, and it's one of those things where I've always wanted to go to Tunisia and have visited several of the filming locations over the years, but that one has eluded me, and just for safety reasons over the last couple of years, hasn't been able to work out a trip there.
Right.
Wow. Now something I want to ask you that I've asked Steve Sansweet and other collectors. We're busting at the seams here when it comes to collecting and where to put it and how to rotate it, and I thought, you know what? What do you collect when you're not collecting anymore? So we switched over to like more of the functional collectibles, like the lightsaber lamps and the Wookiee messenger bags and numerous backpacks.
Right. The Darth Vader lightsaber pizza cutter.
Yes.
Yep, check.
Or the space slug
The
oven
space
mitt?
slug oven mitt.
Right.
Yeah, and I just saw the new Stormtrooper oven mitt, which looks awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Where you had the forearm and the glove.
Yes.
Now, have you had to resort to getting collectibles that you can actually use, so now they have a purpose, so you can really make room for something to that effect?
It's funny because I joke about when I see people that are using things like that, I always make some comment about, I didn't know that you could actually use this. So my primary focus is still definitely on collecting and preservation. But my wife enjoys a lot of the usefulness of the Star Wars collectibles. So she'll usually get something on her own to use, as a handbag or as an oven mitt or, different things along those lines.
That must be a female thing, because I was the one who
definitely.
kind of turned you on to that kind of collecting, right?
Yeah.
It was like the Williams-Sonoma baking tools
right,
that started it out.
Yeah, we went to Williams-Sonoma and got all this stuff, and I was carrying it to my Star Wars room.
I'm like, wait,
Sarah's
what are you doing?
This is for display.
And I said, no, we're going to make some cookies.
No. If you break the seal, it loses its value.
I said, I don't care.
We had a very long discussion about that, and then I realized, it could sit in the Star Wars room where someone might see it every couple of weeks, or we could put it out there and actually use and enjoy it.
Well, it's like the kid in that commercial where he goes into his dad's Star Wars room,
right?
And there's the cereal there, or the soup
the
can
Kraft
or something?
macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, that's what it is. And he's like, Dad, this is a room of lies.
That's right. That is such a great commercial.
Every Star Wars fan and collector is like, yep, I'm right there. I'm right there with you.
I'm with the kid.
You can't actually play with it. You can't actually use it.
So, have you gotten collectibles where you thought, maybe I wouldn't have gotten this, but seeing how I can use it, I will get it?
Or maybe get two.
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely one of those deals where we get two. And there's different things, going for everything. I have to be very, I guess, picky about what I can pay for, what prices. And so I have a lot of stuff on clearance. So, a lot of, even despite the fact that I bought so much stuff on the Force Friday last year, I still got the bulk of my Force Awakens items, on clearance months later. So it's always decision making of, what do I need to get now that I'm not ever going to see again, or see again later at a much higher price, and what do I think will be much cheaper now. And so some of those food items are not, the food items go very, very quickly, but some of the, household items are the ones that you can get and get some use out of them. And then, I can always go back later on and get one for the collection on clearance.
Right. I think that's what we did with some of those Williams-Sonoma cookie cutters.
Yeah.
Later on, they were on clearance for $9.95. Okay.
That'll go in the Star Wars room. Hey, is there one particular item that you keep hoping they're going to make but never do?
Well, they've been pretty creative on the things that they have made over the years, and they, can pretty much start checking off the list everything. But one of the things that I've always wished that there was, and it just kind of harkens back to the vintage days, is those small plastic pools that are only about 12 inches deep or whatever, and that have the artwork on the hard plastic inside. And I've always thought it would be fun to have a Star Wars one of those. There was a rumor about one being made around the time of Return of the Jedi, but nothing has ever surfaced on it. And I think that would be a fun thing.
Yeah, the things that I always like to get and hope they make more of are, I would say, wearable cosplay outfits or jackets or...
Right. Everyday cosplay.
Yeah, her universe is doing a really good job in making ones for the female. For the Poe Finn jacket, she'll make stuff that is almost like a costume, but you can wear it out. And last Christmas, Sarah got me the Luke Skywalker yellow ceremonial jacket from Museum Replicas, I want to say.
Yes.
And I love that because you can wear it. It's very useful. And I thought, you know what? It's subtle enough where you go out, no one's going to recognize it. Boy, was I wrong.
Yeah.
Everybody was recognizing it, huh?
Yes.
Everybody.
That's That's hilarious. I figured it would be one of those things that would kind of draw the line in the sand as to who was the real fans and who wasn't. But if you had a lot of people recognizing it, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, just regular casual fans. Someone who said, "Oh yeah, I seen that in Star Wars." "Oh, are you a fan?" "Yeah, I kind of like the movies." But yet they recognized the jacket, which made me think, "Wow, Star Wars is bigger than I actually realized it was," and I knew it was bigger than the world itself, whatever that means.
Right. I mean, it just permeates our DNA, doesn't it?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. When we go to Disneyland and we see a lot of the teenagers, where in my day, teenagers wouldn't wear Star Wars T-shirts or superhero T-shirts. But now, if you don't wear a Star Wars or superhero T-shirt, you're considered an outcast.
Yeah, they're so popular.
Right. Now, let's talk about Rancho Obi-Wan, because that's coming up very, very soon.
The gala event.
The gala event on November 5th.
Yeah.
Being a board member, you're going to be there, right?
I will. I'm looking forward to it. I've been to all of the galas so far, and they just always do a great job.
Oh, exciting. Well, this is going to be our first time, so we'll definitely look for you there. And
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, October is a really hard month for us to get away, and of course, every last gala event was in October.
Yeah, so
Right.
the fact that this one's November 5th, yay, we can go.
So we went to Rancho Obi-Wan, and I took his Pine Sol bottle, and I said, if you want this back, you got to hold it in November.
That's the way to do it.
What kind of things can we look forward to this year at the gala event?
Well, Steve opens up his collection, lets people, just kind of wander around and see. There's a catered meal that is provided. They do these amazing cakes. They've done different ones over the years. They did a replica of the birthday cake from the 1-year anniversary poster with all the action figures around it.
Nice.
They did one of the world record logo. They did one with the Rancho Obi-Wan logo, and they're just amazingly delicious. But they've had everything in the past from slave Leah belly dancers to a guy that carves jack-o'-lanterns and did Star Wars jack-o'-lanterns that were just amazing. And they auctioned those off. There's a great auction where you'll have everything from original artwork to one-of-a-kind prototypes and everything in between that will be available for sale or auction, and a lot of contests and games, and it's just a really, really fun time for Star Wars fans.
Oh.
What did you pick up last year at his gala event?
Let's see. I picked up a prototype from Gentle Giant. It was a first shot of one of their jumbo vintage figures. And,
which one?
The Death Star droid.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was really cool. So that was a good find, and had a little stiff competition to get, but I ended up with that one. And then a couple of Gentle Giant statues that I had not picked up yet. I got those, and there was a little balloon popping contest. You pay some money and you pop a balloon. Inside is a number, and that number corresponds to a prize. And I got a Japanese sandwich press. So talking about the different things that you can actually use, this was an R2-D2 plastic-shaped thing that you press into the piece of bread, and then when you toast it, it brings out the image of R2-D2 on it. So it's pretty fun.
Oh, cool.
Oh, what year is that?
That came out, actually, I think that was a recent edition. I think that was like 2014, 2015, somewhere in there.
Nice.
Gotcha. Wow. That is amazing, and I'm so glad that Steve holds these gala events, because he does such a great job in preserving each one of those items in his chicken coop turned museum turned.
Exactly.
It's just fantastic, and every time we go there, it's just amazing. The things like, how did we not see this last time?
Yeah.
Yeah, every time you go, every time I go, I see hundreds of things new that I didn't even know about. So it's just amazing place to go. Steve is a wonderful ambassador for Star Wars, and I'm just really thrilled and honored to be part of this in helping to preserve and educate and inspire people through his collection.
Just like the way Disney is taking over Anaheim, I think Steve Sansweet is going to take over Petaluma because his collection just keeps growing and growing and growing. And I'm sure he's very excited about Rogue Friday, but at the same time, I'm sure he's thinking, oh,
Where am I going to put
gotta
this?
build another
Right,
chicken coop.
exactly. Where?
Well, if people want to reach out to you, Duncan, how can they find you on social media or find your collectible guides?
The collectible guides will be found on completistpublications.com, and that's probably the best place to catch up with me as well, or through the Rancho Obi-Wan website, which is ranchoobiwan.org. So either of those places, they can find me and catch up with me, or to check out any of our books.
Excellent. Are you on Twitter?
I am not on Twitter. I am on
Okay.
Facebook, so people can find me there too. And we also have a Completist Publications Facebook page, but I don't tweet.
Okay.
Are you working on a new book right now?
We are, but that's about all I'll say.
Ooh.
So we don't ever like to say what we're working on until it's actually at the printers, just because of things can always pop up and run into problems, and so we don't want to get anybody's hopes up until it's actually a done deal.
You said we. Can you tell us who you're working on it with?
Gus. Yeah, so Gus and I do all of our books together. And so it's always Gus and Duncan's guides. And so he and I are working on a new one as well.
Perfect.
Right. And I want to give you a big shout out and a thank you, because I had gone to you for this new StarWars.com blog that I'm writing about the vintage Star Wars lunchboxes. And thank you for all your help and taking great pictures of the lunchboxes for the StarWars.com article that I wrote.
Oh, my pleasure. And yeah, thank you for writing the article, because, it's always good to get that type of information encapsulated into one place. The Star Wars action figure, or the Star Wars Archives, the SWCA, Star Wars Collectors Archive, is a really good place, but it's so big that it's fun to see when people can combine a certain area and just create an article on that. So it was good to have an article on all the different lunchboxes and the history there. So that was cool.
Yeah, feel free to, if you want to use it to update your list, if you need anything, any information, by all means. If you don't have anything, by all means, take whatever you need.
Sounds great.
All right, Duncan. Well, thank you very much for joining us here on Skywalking Through Neverland. We look forward to seeing you at the Rancho Obi-Wan Gala.
Okay, if I don't see you at the Rogue Friday, well, that's where I'll see you.
All right. Sounds good.
Happy Rogue Friday.
Happy Rogue Friday.
Shout-outs, Skywalker shout-outs. Which Skywalkers get props from here in Neverland? Who has tweeted out? Shout-out. Who has photobombed? Shout-out. Who has shared a post? Shout-out.
We love our shout-outs. Every morning, Richard makes breakfast, and I read what you guys have tweeted out that night. So, we are going to read a tweet from @John Shepler, and he writes to us and to Anthony Fox, Empire for Life. Really enjoyed episode 137. I agree. We need more hashtag Oingo Boingo. Yay. Everyone liked that part of the show last week.
Yeah, it really was a dead man's party.
Yeah, so episode 137 was a lot of film music there. All right, now let's head over to Facebook, where Adam P. O'Brien, now he is on a podcast, is that correct?
He does the great Jogcast network.
Yes, okay.
And there's a lot of great shows over there, and they just talk about everything pop culture.
And he lives in Australia.
He lives in Australia, yeah.
Wow.
He's been on our show tons and tons of times, and someone just said hello to Adam. Who is that?
Cool. Star Wars Love. That's the
one of our
Mandervilles.
Sculptwalkers.
Mandervilles. David
The
Manderville.
Mandervillians.
Yes.
They're saying hello to Adam.
Yes.
So Adam, the Mandervillians, say hello.
Yeah, see? Okay,
The Mandervilles spelt their name wrong. Should be Mandervillians.
Yes.
If there's two Mandervilles, it's Mandervillians.
Yes.
If there's only one, then they're the Mandervilles. Now we return you to our shout-outs already in progress.
Okay, so Adam P. O'Brien, he just gave us a shout-out on our Facebook group and said, big shout-out to our dear pals Richard Woloski and Sarah Woloski. I don't think you two get thanked enough for your hard work on the podcast. So, thank you. I don't know where this thank you came from, but it really made our day.
It was unwarranted, but that makes it that much more appreciated.
Yeah.
And thank you, Adam. And you know what? I would say all of our Skywalker families, they do say thank you again and again. And
Yeah.
they're very appreciative, but I appreciate Adam doing what he did.
Absolutely. So that was amazing. All right, now let's get into a little bit of some of these shout-outs spur discussion here. So Franklin Taylor, he is at SpearXX on Twitter. He brought to my attention a great YouTube video by the YouTube people Every Frame a Painting. That's the name of their YouTube channel. And it goes into detail why we can't hum any Marvel movie themes. So I posted this video in our Facebook group, and it got tons of comments from all our film music loving Skywalkers.
We had a discussion like this with David Collins.
Yes, on episode 39 of Skywalking Through Neverland.
Okay, yeah, we talked about how we can
where
hum.
It was called "Where Have All the Film Scores Gone?"
Right, where we can hum film scores from the 70s and 80s, and
right,
and after
90s.
That, 90s.
Yes,
30s.
well, I could.
Oh, well, you could, but
yes.
The regular person, the novice film music lover, really couldn't.
Well, it was interesting because the YouTube video, it went into, it like asked people on the street, hey, can you hum Jaws? Can you hum the original
Star Wars or Raiders,
Star Wars,
Jaws?
Yeah, Superman theme. Can you hum the Superman theme? Things like that. And then they say, okay, can you hum a theme from any of the new Marvel movies? And no one came... The only thing that people came up with was Spider-Man, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
La 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 la.
Back when
la,
theme songs were theme songs.
Right? Yeah. So, and it went into some reasons why. It was really interesting. So, we have a lot of comments from Skywalkers. So, Bill Medea, he said, I've been saying this about film scoring for a long time. In my opinion, the difference in today's scores as compared to earlier works of the classic Hollywood era is that today's scores are just background music. They service the images, but don't stand on their own when you play the soundtrack. A good example is the most recent work from Hans Zimmer. Man of Steel is practically unlistenable.
And unwatchable.
And I agree with that. Wow. So, as is Amazing Spider-Man 2, The Lone Ranger, Interstellar, and I like Hans Zimmer. So, and he says, I can put on Williams or Goldsmith or Steiner or Horner or Korngold and hear the story. Not so much anymore. That is a great point. You hear the story in, like we can put on the Star Wars soundtrack and you're seeing the movie in your mind's eye as you listen.
Right. Now, we might not be able to hum the theme songs, but I think if you hear the Avengers theme song...
You'll be like, oh, that's the Avengers, but you couldn't hum it.
Right.
You could probably pick it out.
Yeah, even maybe Captain America, people could say, I know that one, and it would take them a few minutes, but they would eventually get to Captain America.
Right. So, yeah, like I could do that, like, dun, 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 dun.
One of our scope walkers just said that they like the Man of Steel soundtrack.
Yeah, that was Christopher Marino.
Oh,
I don't know Christopher.
Yeah. Okay, Chris.
That's okay. You can have your opinion.
Yes, you can.
All right. Now, Justin J. Smith, he writes, I've been saying this since 2012 when the Avengers came out. Glad someone took the time to make a video of it. And he says, if only we could go back to the 80s where every new film featured a new classic soundtrack. Aww.
Back in the 80s and 90s, movies had two soundtracks. They had the score, and then they had the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And the soundtrack was the one where it would be the rock groups, the music, the singing, the tracks.
Right.
Not so much of the score. Like Batman had the score by Danny Elfman and the soundtrack by Prince.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think I had both. Yeah.
So I haven't bought a soundtrack in a while. I don't think movies do that anymore, have two soundtracks. But then again...
Well, you know which soundtrack did was Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, good point. Good point.
Yeah. Which is an awesome theme. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so did Joey Pittman just said that. Yay.
All right, I stand corrected.
Yeah, that's okay. Now, should we move on to our Skywalker of the Week?
Yes, we should.
Okay. Oh, and Skywalkers, if you have anything more to say about film music soundtracks, for one thing, please listen to episode 39 with David Collins, because that was a really interesting discussion. And also, please tweet at us at SkywalkingPod, or write us an email, share at skywalkingthroughneverland.com.
Joey Pittman just brought up a good point about Howard the Duck.
Oh, yes?
That was a great soundtrack, as we pointed out, since every episode that we've aired since the Howard the Duck special 40th anniversary, or is that 30th anniversary? 30th anniversary. All right, let's go on to the Skywalker of the Week before I start rambling on some more.
Okay. And here is the Skywalker of the Week.
Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Derek, beep.
Congratulations, Derek! Now, he wrote us a message and said, I just got back from a week-long solo trip at Disney World, and your podcast was the soundtrack of my food court dinners. Love the bubbly enthusiasm. Thanks for keeping me entertained. Aw, how cool is that?
So we know two things about Derek. He has good taste in podcasting, and he's got a great diet. Food court food is the best.
And he was just at Disney World, so we want to see your pictures, Derek. And Chicafent says, hey, I know that guy. Awesome.
All right, now I want Panda Express.
Well, Chicafent, go thank him for us. Well, actually, don't tell him yet. Just say, hey, you're going to like this next episode.
Skywalking through Neverland. Ask Tink, ask Tink. If you have a question, ask Tink, ask Tink.
Hello, Skywalkers. This is Margaret Kerry, the official fairy pod mother on Skywalking through Neverland. Some of you may even know me as the animator's reference model for Tinkerbell in Walt Disney's original Peter Pan film. I am here to give advice and wisdom and spread to you my faith, trust, and pixie dust. Or if you just want to ask me a question about my career or anything from Tinkerbell's point of view, then I'm here for you too. Let's start things off with a timely question from Rob Dellinger. Rob asks, do you have any advice for me as I release my new album of jingles, seeing as you are currently putting out a new book? Wow! Do you have about 30 hours you're not doing anything with, Rob? Because it's really extensive now. I mean, it used to be so simple. You immersed yourself with the people that you knew or got a cause that you wanted to work with, and then they would help you get your album out there. I'm thinking that when you're saying it's an album of jingles, it's like, I wonder where the yellow went because I brushed my teeth with Pepsodent. Is that the kind of jingle that you're talking about? No. Evidently, there are music pieces that will be at the beginning of different episodes. That's exciting. So you've put them together with an album. I'll bet you it's electronic. I'll bet you it's where I'm an internet imbecile. I probably couldn't upload it, download it, sideload it, or swipe it, you know? So, how would I go about doing that? I would take a little special notebook, not your phone, a notebook, and write down every name that you come across in reading Variety, in reading Adweek, in reading anything on the news, a name and a company, and make this huge list of maybe 30 or 40 people. It's amazing. In 3 days you can have it. And then you take the time to figure out who to contact and what to do it. And then you have somebody write a wonderful little marketing piece that you can send. A marketing piece that tells these people not the details of what you do, but how it's a benefit for them to know you and to know what you do. And so I've given you your assignment. Let me know how it works. And we now have a question from Patty Hammond. She has a Tinkerbell-related question. How often did you model for Tinkerbell? Was it a one-day job, or was it over several weeks, days, months? Well, it was the most interesting time. It was the most interesting time for everybody because television had been coming along. I was doing 2 television shows at the same time. I was doing at the Almost Broadcasting Company. That's what the people who worked there called ABC at the time, because it was the baby network, and I was doing the family show with Charlie Ruggles. Then I had my own show on Channel 13, which is called Teleteen Reporter. So there were 3 days a week, if not 4. So what I did was I would get a call from Mark Davis over at Disney Studio and say, would it be convenient? He would say, would it be convenient for you to come to work next Tuesday? Because he knew that was the one day that I was not prepping for another show or on the air at night. And I would say, no, I'm doing a radio show that day. He said, how about the following week? And I'd say, yes. So he'd say, what time do you want to come over? Can you imagine? Can you imagine being asked what time? I would have told him going to Disney Studios, how about 5 o'clock in the morning? I'll be right over. It still is the second happiest place on earth. Working for Disney Studios, at least for me, was just fabulous. Overall, it lasted about 9 months that I recollect. It might have been a little longer than that. It might not, but right around in there. So I would go in when they got a new storyboard and her new scene of what they wanted to have been okayed. And then I could sit down with Mark Davis and his drawings, and he would show me what he wanted her to do. And then I'd step out in front of the camera, and he'd say, be Tinkerbell, Margaret. And I'd say, okay, Mr. Davis. And finally, we hear from Brian Sims, who says, this is very, very scary. Really, you can ask anything. I just love listening to her voice on the podcast, and whatever she says is interesting anyway. Oh dear, I just warned everybody because I am a storyteller. Let's see. Ask me anything. Well, one of the things that I love to say is I think a lot of people forget that Mark Davis, who designed Tinkerbell and drew most of her action in the picture, he was so wonderful. He also did Mrs. Darling. And when you see the picture again, and I hope everybody is running for their little library of DVDs so they can see it again, but just watch how he changes her from Tinkerbell, or she's different from Wendy, or how the little things that he does and the beautiful line that he draws. And then remember that he also did Cruella de Vil. I mean, I got to work with a genius, and thank you for asking that question, and I'm going to make it short, Brian. I really am, and thank you for the compliment. Well, Skywalkers, that's all the Tink time we have for today. I would like to thank Rob Dellinger, Patty Hammond, and Brian Sims for sending in their questions and concerns. And if you would like me to spread some faith, trust, and pixie dust, send your questions to share@skywalkingthrough-neverland.com. Bye.
War. I study the art of war. Work to perfect it. To defeat an enemy, you must know them. I will pull the rebels apart, piece by piece. They'll be the architects of their own destruction. Destruction.
I'm so excited to bring back this segment, Inspirations, the music of Star Wars Rebels.
Since we had so much great feedback from our last episode where we talked about the finale soundtrack to Twilight of the Apprentice,
Yes.
we thought, you know what, let's keep a good thing going.
Yeah, let's get into the Season 3 premiere, which is the episode Steps into Shadow, and that came out on September 24th.
Now, before we go into the music, Sarah, I never asked you what your overall impression of this first episode was.
Okay, well, before we go into that, let's just tell the Skywalkers that, yes, there will be spoilers here.
And lots of them.
Let's play the spoiler alert.
Attention, Skywalkers. Spoilers ahead.
Warning.
Attention, Skywalkers. Spoilers ahead.
Warning.
Spoilers ahead. Spoilers ahead.
All right, thanks, Rob.
All right, now, even though we watched it side by side twice,
Yes.
You oohed and awed at a lot of these scenes, but tell me what your overall impression was.
Okay, well, I think definitely this season, it's getting darker, and especially Ezra has grown so much since the previous episode, and his change was what really stuck in my head after seeing this episode, especially the first, 3 minutes of this episode, where he does some pretty terrible things.
Ezra's got a body count
Whoa.
of 11.
Holy
11 souls that he had taken.
buckets.
Now,
wow.
I know we watch Star Wars or Empire or Jedi, and we see Luke, Han, Leia shooting stormtroopers.
Yeah.
They're shooting these faceless soldiers.
Right.
But now that we know more of who they are, the stormtroopers,
Exactly.
that they're people, and now Ezra's just shooting them.
Or knocking
random.
them down the cliff, or...
He's violently killing these people with his lightsaber, and he's using the Force.
And there's, no remorse there.
No, even Zeb is like, hey, good work. Good
Right.
going there, buddy. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Even Sabine was taken aback by this when
Yes.
she sees him using the Force to kill 5 of these soldiers using the dark side of the Force.
Yeah, he's using mind control.
And he's using the mind control to make that one walker walk over the edge to his pending doom.
Yeah.
That was,
That was disturbing, honestly.
after I'd seen that, I wasn't too much of an Ezra fan.
No, not at all. And that's when Sabine kind of took a step back, oh, but I guess it's
But she
okay.
said, did Kanan teach you that?
Right. And he said, I didn't know. I didn't learn that from Kanan.
Right.
Yeah. Now, because we're talking about this, can I go into some of the music there?
You know what? Before you go into the music, and I know you're just starting the Ahsoka novel, but the title could have a great impact on the Ahsoka novel.
Oh.
Steps into Shadow.
Well, I'm over halfway now, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does the word shadow
Well,
ring a
Shadow
bell?
rings a bell from
Okay,
the...
they refer to the shadow a lot in the Ahsoka novel.
Okay.
But now here we are hearing it again with Steps into Shadow.
Well, I don't think not just from the Ahsoka novel, but the Shadow is what the Inquisitors were calling Maul.
Spoiler!
Well, but that's in the previous... That's not a spoiler. That was in the finale of
Right.
Season 2. So
Right.
you don't have to read the Ahsoka novel to know that.
Okay. All right.
So thanks for making it a spoiler by bringing up the Ahsoka novel. Sorry, guys.
Well, I like the fact that they're tying the show Star Wars Rebels into the Ahsoka novel.
Oh, okay. See, I don't know that yet.
Very, very subtly, but it's there.
Okay.
And then
well,
we saw the preview of next week's show, and it just okay, that seals the deal.
Right.
All right, and Joey Pittman just brought up about the convors.
Yes.
The intergalactic owls.
Uh-huh. Which appear when Kanan is sitting by the spiders. Where are they? Are they on a different planet? They're not on Lothal, are they?
No.
Okay. Well, they're on a planet, and that's where the convor comes with Kanan, when Kanan's kind of trying to figure himself out. And he goes and visits Bendu. Now, did you notice at one point the owl landed on the Bendu's
the Bendu, which
shoulder?
I'm not sure if that's his name,
Right.
or if that's like Sith, Jedi, Bendu.
Right.
I know in the original drafts of the Star Wars scripts, they were called Jedi Bendu,
Okay.
which was like Jedi Knights. But when Bendu, let's just call him Bendu, the Bendu was explaining about how there's the dark side of the Force, the Bogans, the light side of the Force, the Ashla. That is when the carnivore sat right on Bendu's shoulder.
Okay.
So it seems like whenever the Force is out of balance, we see the carnivore.
Interesting. Now, someone on Twitter, S. Steining, just brought up that he thinks that was Ahsoka. Which I know it's been used to represent like the sister or the daughter and then Ahsoka, but I don't think that was Ahsoka, actually. In my opinion, I think Ahsoka is kind of, her spirit is somehow within Vader.
Well, then you're implying that she's dead.
Well,
I don't.
Well, and her spirit.
I think they're more
her spirit's
representational
not dead.
than anything else.
Right.
All right, now.
Okay.
Now let's talk about.
We can have a whole discussion about that.
But let's really focus on the music here.
Okay. So let's get back to when that first 3 minutes where Ezra is killing people left and right. You said 11 body count.
He's got an 11 body count number.
Wow,
there.
and he seems very in control but arrogant about it. And flippant, and so
he's also there's a lot of parallels to Anakin.
Yeah, definitely. Well. Yes.
He'll use that dark side of the Force to save his friends.
Exactly.
And he doesn't care what he does to do it. If it's killing people by using the Force.
Yep, just to save his
friends.
Right. His attachments.
Yeah.
So one thing that the music really brings up in this, if you're listening to the music while Ezra is using the mind control on the AT-ST driver, the Force theme plays, but it's broken. Broken there, and it ends in discord. And also that at the very beginning of Star Wars Rebels, season 1, opening episode, when we first see Ezra and he's first sensing the Force, you hear that little da-da-da, da-da-da.
That was weird.
Yeah.
That?
Right.
Well, that is also playing while Ezra is using mind control, but it's just the first part. It's like, da-da-da.
What is he doing?
And then it like goes into this discord. So it's like he's using the Force, he's sensing the Force, but it's all wrong. And the music is definitely portraying that using the theme. So
wow. Good catch.
Yeah, I really, that was my favorite track of the episode, honestly. And I wish we could hear that full track on StarWars.com, but that's not the track that was on StarWars.com. So I was excited about that. Now, also thinking about Ezra, I thought of that whole phrase that's used for Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that Ezra, he doesn't seem to be taking on the responsibility of using the Force and lightsaber skills. You know, he's using that power, but he's not responsible for it. Like, isn't he supposed to hide that stuff from the Empire?
Oh, yeah. That's
like the Force use?
The whole point of...
Right.
Of the Jedis right now is to hide their skills, their power, just so when the time is right, the Jedi can come back. Hopefully, then they can all come out. But if they start using the Force here and there, the Empire can say, "Oh, there's one right there. Let's pick him off." And
right.
There's one over here. Let's pick them off.
Right. So that worries me.
Yeah, but as we see in the Ahsoka novel and Rebels and the Kenobi novel, that they don't really hold back on their Force skills.
Yeah. All right.
But how do you? When you're in danger, you can't just stand by and let your friends die. You're gonna need to use the Force.
Okay.
And the Empire knows the Jedi are out there, so it's not like when the Sith were hidden for a millennia. if the Jedi can use their power for good, they're going to do that.
Right.
Even though they know that, maybe we shouldn't, but what's the lesser of all evils?
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about the Thrawn's arrival theme.
Okay, yes. So on StarWars.com, they have the episode guide each week, and they also give you a track from Kevin Kiner's score. And this week, it was Thrawn's arrival. So this plays when we're on the Star Destroyer, and the woman, the female Imperial, is talking.
Price,
is that her name? All right, Price is talking, and then Thrawn enters and kind of says his whole
plan,
his strategy. Thank you. I can't think of my words today. I'm glad you're here. And he also says, "We'll pull the rebels apart piece by piece. They will be the architects of their own destruction." So let's play a little bit of this track right here.
That wasn't Thrawn's arrival. That was Dracula's arrival.
Right? Yeah, Richard, you and I listened to this track long after we had seen this episode. So we didn't remember any music that sounded like this. So we're hearing this and it's like, whoa, there's instrumentation of the male chorus, and then you have the pipe organ sound. It like totally sounds Halloween.
Yeah.
Dracula's arrival. I like that. But yeah, so you get those foreboding tones. Now, to me, since it sounds like Halloween, I kind of wanted to hear the track to Halloween.
Yeah, someone, Joey Pittman just said sounds like 70s horror.
Yes.
Which is what you just said, Sarah, that it sounds like the John Carpenter Halloween score?
Yeah!
All right.
Let's
everyone,
listen to this.
Listen to this. This is now the Halloween theme. Then we'll play Thrawn's Arrival once again, and you make the decision. Okay, there's the infamous John Carpenter Halloween score. And now here, once again, is Thrawn's Arrival. Do you still think it sounds like the Halloween theme, or are you just thinking of typical Halloween scary music?
I honestly think that Thrawn's Arrival kind of sounds like a slowed down version of the Halloween theme, because it starts like really high, you know?
It almost starts like the Star Wars Rebels theme starts, with the crescendo.
Okay.
Before it gets into the main melody.
Okay, I can see that. But then, well, what it does, I mean, the Halloween theme also starts with that dee-dee-dee-dee-dee, you know, the high notes.
Uh-huh.
And then it begins that low, music going on. It even sounds like it's in the same key, which is interesting. Now, so Thrawn's Arrival to me just kind of sounds like a slowed down version, and then with different instrumentation.
Now, it's too bad we didn't really hear this in the episode.
Yes.
Having heard this on StarWars.com, then going back to listen to the episode, it's so buried in the soundtrack.
Yeah, because they're talking over it. The Imperials are just,
Yeah.
Thrawn is discussing his plan, and you really can't hear it. So my hope is that this is kind of the genesis of Thrawn's theme, and that we're going to hear it throughout season 3 as his character is developed and as we see more of him. And maybe there's going to be a moment where we'll really hear like the hero version of this track. and hero meaning anti-hero version, I suppose.
Now, what did you think of Thrawn and his introduction into this episode?
Honestly, I thought it was a little, like, almost too quick. It's like they needed to lead up to him a little bit more, like they did in the...
Oh, right.
Well, in the trailer
Right, yeah.
to Thrawn, it was like tease, 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 and then bam, there he is. Whereas in this one, he just kind of arrives. It was a bit anticlimactic.
Oh, really? I like his scheme of, you know what, let this rebel cell go, and they're going to lead us to the bigger reward, and that's the whole rebellion. But
I liked his that he did that.
Yeah, it's kind of like in Star Wars, how when the Millennium Falcon escapes from the Death Star, Tarkin says, you know what, let them go. They'll just lead us to the rebel base.
Right.
So he's almost doing the same thing, but he just let all these Y-Wings go that will participate in the destruction of the Death Star.
Oh.
So...
Wow, good catch there. I don't know why I didn't make that connection, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so
Wow.
he may be smart on the outset, but once people start putting the dots together, it's like, where'd these Y-Wings come from? Who was in charge of not letting the rebellion get all these ships? Thrawn, what do you know about this?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and now, what do you think? The whole episode, I know we kind of talked about it in the beginning of this segment, but wow, even with Thrawn, then you go back to the season 2 premiere with Vader.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this was as powerful as the season 2 premiere.
No, well, season 2, I mean, you have Ahsoka, you have Vader. Like, there's nothing going to be more powerful than that.
Well, we didn't get Ahsoka in the first episode. We got Kanan and Ezra battling Darth Vader.
But you knew that Ahsoka was around. So the fact that Vader was around,
and
it just upped the stakes.
I think we're definitely going to build, and we're going to just get into this huge battle that no one can ever get out of, which leads to Rogue One, hopefully.
Hopefully.
And now that Dave Filoni is no longer the supervising director,
and is supposedly working on something else.
Yeah, and a lot of people are thinking another animation project, but I'm thinking live action.
Yeah.
He's been visiting the sets of the live action films, and that wasn't just for a quick getaway.
No.
No, they're grooming him for live action. So I think this is a great transitional stage for Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
And
more power to him.
Yeah, and Lucasfilm, if you need me to call Colin Trevorrow and tell him, you know what, it's not going to work out. Yeah, we already found a replacement for you. Oh. So, you know what, keep in touch. Good luck with Jurassic Disney World. And, yeah, no hard feelings. I'll be the one to make that call.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good.
So, can't wait until next week's Big Rebels episode where we see, should we spoil it again and say, the Shadow?
Oh, well, that was kind of shadowed in the preview.
This should have been called Steps into the Foreshadow.
Yes. All right.
All right, so there you have it. And we will continue our inspiration segment as the season goes on, and we can delve into more of the music.
Yeah. So we are looking forward to next week when we see the second episode of Season 3, which is The Holocrons of Fate.
Ever watch a Star Wars film and wonder just how big the Mos Eisley Cantina really is? Or how many layers there are to the Death Star? Or even how Rey made a house into a home? Or in her case, an AT-AT into a living space?
Well, wonder no more because Drew Kaplan is back, or as we call him here, Jocasta Drew, the Skywalking Through Neverland book analyst. And he is going to tell us all about the updated Star Wars Complete Locations Visual Guide by Jason Fry, and we'll also take a look at the updated edition of Star Wars Year by Year, both from DK Publishing.
Hey, Jocasta.
Hey, Richard and Sarah, how are you?
It's been a while, and I know we've given you a lot of homework with these books.
Yes.
So now let's talk about Star Wars Complete Locations. Now, this is an updated installment that brings together the key buildings, environments, and battle scenes from the Star Wars saga. Now, what is your overall impression of this visual guide?
It's huge.
Oh.
It's a massive tome.
So it's like a coffee table book, right?
Absolutely a coffee table book. It's definitely something that you could pick up while you're sitting on the couch or a friend drops by.
I know when it came in, I was very happy to hand it over to you because every entry is very thick.
Yes.
And it kind of intimidated me.
It intimidates me too.
It still does. Okay.
It still does.
So now, did you go through it cover to cover, or did you flip through some locations and entries that really interested you? How did you approach this book?
Since it was updated, I went first to the Force Awakens section with different cross sections by the same people who did the ships for the Force Awakens cross sections, Kemp Remillard and Jason Fry. So since it was the same crew who did that, so I went to see those first, and then original trilogy and on.
So Kemp Remillard, he's the illustrator on this book as well. Now, in a visual guide, of course, the illustrator is pretty much as important as the author. Were there other illustrators on this particular book?
Yeah, so they just did the Force Awakens segment.
Which ones? Who did?
Kemp Remillard and Jason Fry.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So Kemp did the visuals, and then Jason Fry did the words. And so everything else had been done before, by 2005.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Although, according to Jawa James, who wrote a post on StarWars.com, who interviewed both of these two creators, apparently Jason Fry had to go back in since there's been a lot that's changed since 2005, especially with regards to canon. So he had to rejigger some of the stuff earlier on in the book, but the stuff it's mostly the focus on The Force Awakens.
Yeah, I read that interview on StarWars.com that James Jawa did, or Jawa James.
Now I can't remember.
It depends if you're on Twitter, right?
Okay.
So it's the opposite. So it's Jawa James, except on Twitter.
We'll call him James Floyd.
Yes.
And when he was interviewing them, Jason Fry said that he had gone through his other cross-section books, or the other cross-section books, and also looked into Before the Awakening and Rey's Survival Guide. So he really did a lot of research just for one entry.
Yeah.
Now, did every entry seem as packed as all of that? And was it hard to keep all that information in your head?
If you remembered all this, you'd have information flowing out your ears. It's incredible.
Well, let's say you said The Force Awakens. You said, are there 4?
Yeah, there's 4 cross sections.
So what do we get?
There is the AT-AT in which Rey sleeps.
Nice.
Or she makes her home. Maz's castle.
Ooh.
And we also have Starkiller Base and Dakar Resistance Base.
All right, let's talk about Starkiller Base.
That's the one I like. Rings out to me too.
Yeah, this has always confused me. How is it a base inside a planet? Is it a planet inside a base? What are we looking at here?
Yeah, it's a base inside of a planet. What's interesting they do here, and also what happens with Death Stars that they do earlier on in the book, is you can't do the entire globe of it. It's too overwhelming. So what they do is they sort of do a section of it. And so, and especially since it's not like the Death Stars where it was entirely constructed out of nothing. Here, at least there was the pre-existing sort of planet, as it were. And so what they do is they focus on a segment of it. And so they sort of we'll kind of go do the macro and they'll do a little bit of the micro. But I will say both here and also the Death Star, it's just mind-blowing how huge these things are. Right. And the detail of you can tell that the illustrators and the writers really put a lot of thought into this, and my mind is still blown. Here, can I read this excerpt?
Sure.
All right, so Starkiller Base was once a remote and mysterious world known only to a handful in the galaxy. During the time of the Empire, it had been used as a source of kyber crystals for use in the Death Star's super lasers.
Whoa!
Yeah. Before fleeing to the unknown regions, the founders of the First Order secured research logs from the secret Imperial labs that had tested these experimental weapons. Its location revealed, the world became the heart of a new secret empire, with the First Order harvesting its kyber crystals for use in its war machine before turning the planet itself into a mobile weapons platform.
But never gives the name of the planet.
No.
So these kyber crystals, okay. So the planet has kyber crystals on it.
Yeah.
What was the name of that planet that all the...
Ilum.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the crazy things about this book is that there's so much information.
Right.
And that's even just with the Force Awakens stuff. I mean, let alone any of the other separate movies or trilogies.
When I did flip through the book, one of the entries that really impressed me was the Mos Eisley Cantina.
Yeah.
Because in Star Wars, you just think it's that one main room with a couple of little alcoves.
Yeah.
But that's not the case.
Yeah, both that and also Jabba's palace. Both of them have, I mean, there's lots of backstories and previous owners and dead bodies buried here and there. And then, what's going on in different rooms, or, which crazy bounty hunters are, cracking different crazy plans to do stuff. So, just both of those just on Tatooine, Jabba's palace and the Mos Eisley Cantina. And there's like little mini backstories about each of the different characters.
Wow.
It makes me wonder how much of this is this all canon? Like, is this all like legit information?
I
Or
would
is
say
this
at this
just,
point, yes.
It probably, there's probably nothing contradicting it. So there's a lot, and clearly that goes to the writers' credit that they came up with all this information, biographical information, even talking about like who the previous owner of the Mos Eisley Cantina was, and it's neat. It's neat stuff.
Which entry did you flip right to when you first opened it up? For me, it was the cantina.
That's pretty intense. Also the Jabba the palace is it has two separate pages, two separate entries just about that, and how it used to be a Bomar monk place, and the different stuff that they might have hidden in different places, but they're still around because their brains are walking around, which I didn't know until we did that characters book a few months back. And I will say also that with Maz's castle, you could tell that Jason Fry definitely did his research, because he mentioned a couple of the characters in that book we did, Aliens, Tales from a Galaxy Far, Far Away, Volume 1. And so he mentioned a couple of the characters, including Strano Tuggs, the guy who was inspired by Gormandas Holovids. So he mentions a couple of those characters from that book. And so it shows that his homework's there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Were there any locations in there that you didn't know where they pulled this from?
One was interesting. So with A New Hope, they had Tashi Station. Now, Tashi Station's only in the deleted scenes. It's not in the theatrical release. So at first I was kind of confused, but then it was amazing that they created this entire cross-section in something that wasn't even in any of the films except for deleted scenes. And so it was really cool to see Tashi Station there.
All right, so Sarah, when we got this book, I went to the Mos Eisley Cantina. What did you go right to? What location?
The Ewok Village. I thought it was so cute. And then Hoth Base. I think those are the two that really stick out to me and I would want to know more about.
What I gotta say something. What's really incredible about this book is that it shows different paths of how people flew or navigated to different places.
Ooh.
Like with Hoth, it shows the different, just even the battle movements of where the AT-ATs had landed and how they got to where they got. Also where, the Wampa drags Luke to.
Oh, right.
And it shows all that. It also shows on Endor, also there, the battles and the troop movements just on Endor between the Ewok, where the Ewok village is and where the base is set up. And it's so intricate. And also even just in Mos Eisley, where everybody went to and all the routes, it's very intricate. It's incredible.
Yeah, because it's not just locations; it is the battle scenes and spatial relations.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, and it also gives an example. For instance, at the Battle of Hoth, why the AT-AT walkers set down where they did, and what the strategy involved was for that movement.
Oh, enlighten us.
So
I've always wondered about that. Why didn't they just drop them right on the rebel base and be done with it?
It had to do with the shields and also the blasters. So if they set them far enough away that they can navigate to, and also they couldn't just the Star Destroyers couldn't just blast the shields because of how the base was set up.
Echo Base.
Yeah, how Echo Base was set up. According to this book. I don't know how much of it is sort of like defending the Empire, of like, it wasn't just a foolish move, but I think they do a good job of, putting it out exactly why it was the way it was and why it was not a strategic blunder, but it actually made sense based on the terrain.
Huh. Well, hearing all this, I'm surprised that this book is not 3 times the width.
Yeah.
That's a lot of information unless the font is like a 10-point.
Oh, there's a lot. Every page is packed with information. It's really incredible. You just sit there and you're just staring at the page. It's wonderful.
Okay.
But I will say one thing that clearly one thing I read in the StarWars.com thing that Jawa James put out there was that they had to go back and rejigger some of the things. And one of the places that it shows up is with Dagobah. Because there it mentions something from the 6th season of the Clone Wars where Yoda goes there because Qui-Gon Jinn says you should check this place out. Right. So clearly that's one of the places where they had gone back in and then updated the information.
Oh, very, very interesting.
What about, I'm thinking of the Clone Wars.
Moribund?
Yeah, well, what's the brother, the daughter, the sister, the brother? Mortis. Do they have Mortis in there?
Oh, this is just for this. This is for episodes 1 through 7, so it doesn't cover the Clone Wars at all.
Gotcha.
And except in as much as they're in episodes 2 and 3. So the beginning, Geonosis, and then at the end of episode 3. So it would be that. You know what? That would be an incredible work right there, just to have a Clone Wars book, because all the places they go to more places in the Clone Wars than they do in the episodes 1 through 7.
Yeah.
So I think there's definitely a market out there for that, for the Clone Wars, to have a Clone Wars locations. That'd be amazing.
And what kind of Star Wars fan would be more likely to pick up this book?
I think people who are any it's a huge range, anywhere from you have your craziest fans out there who want to own every single Star Wars book and want to know everything there is out there, but even to fans who've just seen the 7 feature films. Hey, you know what? You like the films? Check out the locations, and they've got so much background information on the locations and individuals involved that it provides such a great amount of insight that it really, you get to appreciate the movies more. It reminded me a lot of the characters book we discussed a few months ago,
right,
where it made me want to go back and watch episodes 1 through 7. This also does. Now that I have that information, that background, especially on characters and situations of, even just like the Battle of Hoth, why they set down where they did.
Right.
And the craziest part is also Jabba's palace, of like who everybody is there and what's going on. It made me want to go back and rewatch those movies.
After I read the Cantina section, I did go to YouTube and watch the Cantina scene. Yeah. Like, okay, I now know what's behind that door and that wall and underneath that floor.
Yes.
So it does really broaden out the Star Wars world.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Wow. All right, now let's switch gears to Star Wars Year by Year, a Visual History. Now, this was originally released in 2010 by Ryder Wyndham and Dan Wallace, and Pablo Hidalgo, and now Pablo he comes back and updates what was already there with The Force Awakens, and now the book goes from the 1940s when George Lucas was born all the way up to the end of this year, 2016, with the release of Rogue One.
Wow.
So Pablo takes 2010 through 2016.
Okay. Gotcha.
Himself.
Wow.
That's a big undertaking.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Wow.
Now, this book also, unbeknownst to me, came with 2 prints, which are right there in front of you. Drew,
my goodness.
Costa. Take a look at those.
Wow. Very nice.
Yeah, so there's one print of Rey and Kylo Ren
Ooh.
fighting at the Starkiller base.
Nice.
And that was done by Eric, I want to say Tiemens,
sure.
Tiemens and Ian McCaig.
Okay.
And the second one is the Falcon chase into the Star Destroyer on Jakku by Doug Chang.
That's excellent.
Now, I say unbeknownst to me because they were hidden inside of a pocket on the other side of the front cover in a secret flap.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I didn't know it was there. And when I read James Jawa's review, it said that it came with a couple of prints, and I thought I was gypped, but no. They were right there.
Wow, this is another coffee table book right here. I'm holding it in my hand, and it's good. What would you say, 10 pounds? I think that's 10 pounds.
You can curl that and gain some muscle mass.
Yeah, I'm curling it right now. Yeah, it feels about 10 pounds.
Yeah. Now, this book is really interesting that it covers year by year, and it will tell you what movie came out when, TV shows, books, comic books, even little intricate facts about what character showed up in a comic book. Some really obscure things that you wouldn't think would be in a book like this, but it goes from the big basics like the premiere of each Star Wars film to when issue number 3 of volume 8 of a little-known Dark Horse comic book was released.
Wow.
So yeah, Pablo really, really delves deep. And also there's a lot of entries for, I would say, Star Wars adjacent projects like Raiders of the Lost Ark and Willow and other Lucasfilm properties. And even when other stars of Star Wars were in a film, it'll note those film releases as well.
Wow.
Yeah, like in 2006, I just happened to open this page where there's a picture of Harrison Ford and George Lucas receiving an award. And it looks like it's a People's Choice Award. Episode 3 wins 2 People's Choice Awards in favorite movie and favorite movie drama.
And we see Harrison Ford, which
yes,
we wouldn't think.
Well, it looks like
associated back
Right?
then.
Harrison Ford presents Lucas with the award, is what the little caption says.
Now, of course, it goes to the end of 2016, so they don't give exact release dates of like Rogue One.
Oh.
Just in case it happens to move.
Right.
As we know it has done. Not Rogue One, but Star Wars release movies.
Yeah.
Wow, this is neat.
So this is a book very worth picking up, even if you have the 2010 version, because from 2010 through 2016, it's like its own tome right there. And I think about maybe 4 or 5 pounds of it. 4 or 5 pounds of really useful, fun facts.
Wow.
Or you could wait a couple more years until it's updated with the other
So at this point, it
new
needs
movies.
to be updated every 6 months.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
All right, so between the two books, they are great, I would say, history books that you need to have in your Star Wars library.
Yeah.
Star Wars Year by Year already came out on September the 6th, where Star Wars Complete Locations, the visual guide, comes out September 27th.
Excellent. Yeah, so head to Amazon and pick those up, Skywalkers.
I would say at a bookstore near you, but chances are there's not a bookstore near you anymore.
Yeah.
That wraps up our first episode of
Skywalking Through Neverland.
But we can't let you go until we give you your homework.
Homework.
We want to hear about your Star Wars or Disney Halloween stories. If you have any stories, if you have any clips of vintage videos, well, we want to see them. If you have Halloween stories surrounding Star Wars or Disney, if you have a pumpkin carving, a cool costume, something that happened just last Halloween or several Halloweens ago,
Maybe even when you were a kid.
let us know. We want to share on our next episode. Now, we are just starting out and getting used to podcasting, so the next episode of Skywalking Through Neverland will be in 2 weeks. Then, once we get it together, our goal is to do a show once a week, because there's just so much happening in the world of fandom. Now, for those of you remembering back 3 years ago, that was our original outro. We thought it was very fitting to bookend this episode with the original opening and the original ending.
Yeah, of course. All right. Well, Skywalkers, that wraps up episode 138, our anniversary episode of
Skywalking Through Neverland. We want to thank Duncan Jenkins, Margaret Kerry, Jocasta Drew Kaplan,
and all of you Skywalkers for listening each and every week.
All right, now let's tell everyone about the meetups coming up. Well, we already mentioned the gala at Rancho Obi-Wan on November the 5th.
That's right.
And then the next day, someone's going to Dunkin' Donuts. Oh, I'm sorry. That was a tangential message from a scope walker.
That's true. Well, Dunkin' Donuts is not our next meetup location.
But after we visit Rancho Obi-Wan the next day on November 6th, we're going to go to the Disney Family Museum.
Yes. Although, also, MouseCon is that day too. So, actually, we might decide.
Okay, so we don't know yet what we'll be doing the next day.
Yeah, it's true.
But any of the Skywalkers, what are the masses doing? I know Donald Wicks is going to be going to MouseCon.
Yes.
And because it's going to feature the little girl from Mary Poppins.
Yay! I'm so excited.
So, Skywalkers, where do you masses want to go? MouseCon or the Family Museum?
All right.
Let us know. Should they tweet at us?
Daniel Sala says, go to the Reagan Library. Well, we'll be up north, so can't go
further
there
up
that
north
week.
than, what's that, Simi Valley?
Yes, Simi Valley. Yes.
Okay. All right. And then we're going to be meeting up with some Skywalkers at the November 12th Doctor Strange 10K.
Yay. And the Superheroes Half Marathon Weekend is happening that whole weekend, and we are excited to attend.
Yeah, and we're getting some more people involved in the September 17th, 2017 meetup when we do the Skywalking Through Neverland / Stories of the Magic podcast cruise meetup.
Woohoo! That's going to Baja, Mexico on the Disney Wonder for 5 nights. So, if that sounds interesting to you, just go to storiesofthemagic.com/cruise quote and click on that orange Get a Quote button just to get more information on that.
Good deal. Now, we are part of the Retro Zap Network, where you can find awesome shows like Deucecast Movie Show,
Brews and Blasters,
Techno Retro Dads,
and the Trade Federation podcast,
as well as Talking Apes TV, where the next episode should be going up within the next 2 weeks.
All right, and social media, Skywalkers, we love it when you tweet at us. So, we are at SkywalkingPod for Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, and Snapchat. And also, we have our Facebook group. So you can request to join on Facebook. Just search Skywalking Facebook group and it should pop up. And please request to join. And then send us a message and say, hey, I listen to the show. I'm not a spammer. And then we'll let you in the group.
Good deal. Now, Sarah, let's get everyone excited about your new project.
My new project. What's my new project?
You're going to be designing a new Skywalking Through Neverland Halloween t-shirt.
I think you've been saying that for the last month.
The last 2 years.
That's right. Woohoo! Okay, something with pumpkins.
All right, so you know what? I'm putting that on your to-do list.
Okay, yeah. Put it on the list.
All right.
And then that way it gets
I
done.
want a Skywalking Halloween t-shirt.
Okay. All right, Skywalkers. Well, thank you for joining us. And always remember...
Neverland on Alderaan.
Some imagination, huh?
To our Skywalkers and Tweetwalkers, thanks for listening. Skywalking Through Neverland is created and produced by Richard and Sarah Woloski. Original music by Rob Dellinger. Creative consultant Mark Ogushowitz. Technical advisor Peter Heitman. Facebook administrators Donald Wicks, Joey Pittman, and Norma Heitman.
Skywalking Through Neverland is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Any sounds, music, and clips played during this podcast are the property of their copyright holders. All original content is property of Skywalking Through Neverland, all rights reserved. Sorry, had to be said. All right, ready when you are.
I am...
What?
I'm supposed to... Do I say what I say at the beginning? This is what you can look forward to?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
We just had a rehearsal.
Doesn't sound as cool without the sound, right?
You know what? Maybe throw in an anniversary nod, since this is our 3rd year anniversary.
Oh!
This is what we can look forward on our...
Okay. This is what you can look forward to start off our 4th year of podcasting. Margaret Kerry is back. Our what is it? Our fairy, sorry.
Our official fairy pod mother.
Also back this week,
Say it one more time.
Okay. What? How did I start?
Not because you were talking over me. I was talking under you. All right. Blooper.
Margaret Kerry is back this week. She is our fairy pod mother. She's back to ease us through our problems and concerns as she gives advice through her Oh my gosh.
It's always the simple
all
lines.
Right. Yeah, no
all right,
kidding.
Take 3.
Yeah.
On Skywalking to Neverland.
Oh wow, start that again.
Some of you may even know me as the animators. Whoops. They're interstices. I'll get it all. I shouldn't use big words, right?
Interstitials, I think?
Interstitials. That will be at the beginning of episode.
So, okay, things we want to share. Music fades down.
Hold on. Oh, goodness. Okay, I need to stretch.
Keep everyone busy.
Okay.
Happy 30th. Happy 3rd anniversary, Skywalking Through Neverland. Well, Howard the Duck had a...
Howard the Duck. Huh. I think, well, that's like, is that a theme? That's a... Well,
that was more of the ending theme. But I guess you could call that Leah Thompson Cherry Bomb song that could be considered the theme.
Huh.
Hard to say.
Yeah.
Hard to say because he did hit the movie opening theme, which was more of the introduction to Howard the Duck.
Okay,
but then
right.
the end was the big finale spectacle.
Right.
So I'm going to call the Cherry Bomb Leah Thompson song the Howard the Duck theme. All in agreement? Say aye.
Aye.
All who disagree can go to another podcast. No, stay here. You all have your say in Howard the Duck and its theme song and how brilliant it is.
All right, tease it.
And now I want some Panda Express.
All right.
All right, moving right along.
Here we go.
Panda Express.
Yes.
Mm.
Thanks for sticking with us, Skywalkers. We're going to go into the music of Star Wars Rebels now.
All right. Did we all see Star Wars Rebels?
Oh, yeah.
Season 3?
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. So if you haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's preface that.
Okay.
All right. All right, Skywalkers. Well, thank you for joining us. And always remember
To have a happy Halloween.
already?
No, that's, well.
To have a happy Halloween decorating party.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And Neverland on Alderaan.
Woohoo! Thank you. Yay.
I just
Thanks,
love
Christopher.
Halloween.
And congrats, Christopher, for running your 10K, the first 10K ever.